Greetings and welcome. How are we all feeling at the moment? Today's topic is on relive to relieve. And this has to do a lot with the past and trauma. And sometimes we don't realize, but we have to relive an experience in order to properly heal from it, let it go, and move on. And reliving is so scary for so many people that they rather choose to close it off, stuff it down, put it in a different part of their minds that they will never access again. But if you don't relive, you can't relieve. You will be stuck with this heavy burden your whole life if you do not relive and heal from your past experiences, your traumas, and the emotions associated with that. Remember, the longer we leave something in the dark, the more it festers in our psyche. What you leave in the dark, what you ignore in the dark, will eventually consume you. And the things that you leave in the dark will eventually take control over you as well and your life. The longer you leave something in the dark, the more of a burden it becomes. It's important to name it, shame it, and label it and accept it for what it is, so that you can begin to process it and look for ways to solve the problem or to heal the trauma. Remember, with trauma, we can't half process it. We can't sort of like go back a little bit and think about, oh, this happened and I kind of felt like this. No, it needs to be processed properly. You need to be able to backtrack in your mind. You need to be able to give yourself a time frame, an emotion, and a state of mind. And then you need to compare that to what your state of mind is now, what your values are now, and what your emotional state is now. Because if trauma is not processed properly, it's going to come out worse in your future. It's going to cause more problems for you in the future. And you're going to struggle with severe feelings of hurt and pain and the inability to feel joy and happiness as well. Remember, we cannot heal until we have gauged the true quality of our emotional associations to the past. We cannot heal if we have not truly grasped the reality and the gravity and what the effects that the events had on us. And if you don't relive those emotions, if you don't feel those emotions again, then you are not going to be able to heal. You are not going to be able to relieve that burden, that emotional burden that we create through not dealing with things. And unfortunately, in order to relieve yourself of these burdens, you have to relive. And by that, I don't mean make your present like your past again. No, just in the moment that you are in now. Understand, give yourself a mental image of what happened, the emotions that are associated with it. Accept it, name, shame, and label it. Remember, you cannot fully name and label an emotion without going through it first. You have to go through that emotion so that you can gauge the reality of the effect of the emotion. Remember, relief comes from letting go and moving on. As soon as you pick up that huge weight and you say, this is not mine to bear, and you put it down, you feel that relief off your shoulders. The tension is out of your body and you feel a bit lighter, and you are able to be a bit lighter and to let go of that. Remember, reliving to relieve requires a lot of forgiveness, because if you can't forgive yourself, you can't relieve this burden. If you can't forgive yourself, you're going to be stuck with those emotions, stuck with the trauma, stuck with the problems. So you need to forgive other people, not for the sake of them, but for the sake of you, so that you don't hold grudges, so that you don't poison yourself anymore. Forgiveness is reliving and forgiving who hurt you. When you relive that, when you relive it now, are you able to forgive yourself for not handling it the way that you want to be, or that you wanted to, but also to understand that you were vulnerable and you didn't know better? And that's where the forgiveness comes in. Remember, reliving is difficult. Many of us, we don't want to go back into our past. We don't want to relive our traumas. We don't want to remember what happened. In fact, most of us wish we could just wipe our memories and just... But unfortunately, that's not a reality. So reliving is difficult and painful, yes. But it is the only way that we can understand and process it. It's the only way that we can make meaning out of our existence, create purpose for ourselves. It's difficult. It's not an easy process. But can I emphasize that it's absolutely necessary and imperative that you relive the emotions and the pictures so that you can relieve this emotional and mental burden off your shoulders. And reliving experiences over and over, if you have flashbacks, nightmares, constant thinking about it, daydreaming, having horrible nightmares, and you are cycling what happened over and over and over, but you're not accepting it or processing it or dealing with it, then yes, it may indicate that you have very, very, very deep trauma. If you cannot take your mind outside of the trauma and you cannot live outside of the trauma, if you have to live with the trauma and in the trauma, then yes, you do have deep trauma. Remember, relief is making peace and facilitating psychological freedom. Relief is the ability to say, this happened, but I'm going to heal from it. I accept it. It's okay. I can move on. I can have different future prospects. And it's about regaining that ability to have control over yourself, to have control over your life, and to create psychological freedom. Psychological freedom means that you're not held down by your beliefs, your self-sabotage, your self-destruction, and making peace facilitates that psychological freedom. So you're not weighed down by that burden anymore. Remember, it's important to analyze your mental processes of the event. What happened in your mind? What associations were you making? What were you relating to? What was your current perspective during that event? And what were you feeling? To understand your position, your level of vulnerability, your level of insight, your level of control, and really try to make sense of that. Another thing of reliving to relieve, unfortunately, it does require a lot of vulnerability, because you have to be vulnerable to go back to those emotions, to go back to the experience, because unfortunately we cannot heal if we do not become vulnerable. because that's where the healing happens. If we are resistant and we are practicing strength and resilience, that's great. But you need to be vulnerable in order to open up what's going on. Remember, we don't want this burden. We want to have psychological freedom and a good life. But remember, when it comes to trauma and past experiences and emotional associations, you need to relive to relieve. So remember, you are unique and valuable. Take care of that stunning person. Stay strong wherever you're from. You are worthy.